Services meeting this morning at March the 27th, 2017 at 12 o'clock. And we have 5 items on the agenda. And the first one is, I'll read the whole thing. Go ahead, Dennis.
Thanks, Councilman Ron there. Good afternoon, council members. The applicant Melrose Properties is requesting a vacation of alley right-of-way and a portion of Melrose Street north of Emma Avenue and east of Medina Street. There's a map up there on the screen that you can look at. It's in the around the hospital area, south of Ironwood Drive and west of 95, and more specifically in the area north of Emma there. There's an alleyway that's, most of those houses are torn down. It's all kind of grassy park-like setting, and Melrose Properties and their other corporation, which is the same owners, Glacier 1919, own both sides of that, and also both sides of the Melrose Street. And with their development they have coming up in the future, they're asking to vacate that. So the requested right-of-way was originally dedicated to the City of Coeur d'Alene in the Kootenai addition to the City of Coeur d'Alene plat in 1908. The vacation of the requested right-of-way would not have any financial impact on the city and would add approximately just around 16,000 square feet to the county tax roll. Although a minor amount, it would be a benefit to the municipality as tax revenue and to the landowner whose lots adjoin the alley and street. The also, by the way, the dead-end alley is unimproved and not needed, and Melrose Street is a dead-end street and not needed. Several utilities do exist within the alley and the street, and with the ordinance we'll retain those easements until the applicant at a future date decides to abandon those or run a new sewer line somewhere else. They'll probably get abandoned is what will happen. But those will be retained until the applicant does that. All right, so staff recommends to the Public Works Committee to proceed with the vacation process as outlined in Idaho Code Section 50-1306 and to recommend to the City Council the setting of a public hearing for the item on April 18th, 2017.
Any questions?
No. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, need a motion.
I would move to proceed with the vacation process as outlined by Idaho Section 50-1306 and set a public hearing for April 18th on the alleyway on Melrose Street in the City of Coeur d'Alene.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Okay, item number 2, City Park Workers Memorial. Bill?
This was an item that came before the Park and Rec Commission in 2010. Some things work slowly in the city, but we never give up. I've always had this on the docket as the commission always wanted to find a place for this. And when we did the realignment of Mullen Avenue, now Fort Ground Drive, this was identified as a placeholder in this same vicinity. There was a parking lot, if you recall, in that first realignment where the realignment was rather a much bigger S-curve. It was then modified, and we always had thought this would be a good location for this workers' memorial. And so this area is, this is Park Drive over here, and this is the new Fort Ground Drive. This is those existing parking spots. I met with Brad Cedarbloom and his board with Del Hatch on site to look at this location. This is kind of a quiet spot in the park, and it doesn't see a lot of activity. We believe this is a very good location. I then took this after the Park and Rec Commission meeting, which they voted unanimously on this, to the Fort Ground HOA. And they all gave it a thumbs up and wanted you to know that they all approved it as well. And I've got one other rendering here that you can see that was from the original that Del Hatch did for the Riverstone. What this does is gives you better, we were looking moments ago at a plan view, so this is ground view, and it takes up about 2,000 square feet. The names of the people, and maybe I didn't make this clear, I apologize. The idea of the memorial is that we have memorialized firefighters and police officers, but never the common man, so to speak. And so this is what this would memorialize: Idaho workers who've fallen in line of duty, whether it be someone on a road crew or a lineman, and or the injury, their death occurred after. They would be memorialized at this location. The idea is that they would have these pillars. The names would be engraved on that. There's a lighting that's a flat that comes down, splashes across the face of it. And this is what it looks like if you were to stand there in the plaza and take a look. None of the trees in the area will be harmed in this plan. We have placed it in such a way that even the berming will not affect the roots of any of the existing trees. And what's happened in that area, in 2015, we lost a couple of big trees in there anyway, so there's really a lot of room for this. We lost a fir and a ponderosa, or a Doug fir and a ponderosa there in that windstorm in 15 in November. So with that, I'll entertain any questions that you might have about the project.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say it's fabulous that this is moving forward, and it has been a long time
Yeah.
coming, and
Yeah.
It'll be a great addition.
Thank you.
I was just curious about one thing as I drove by there. Is there any art or public infrastructure that has to be moved for this?
Well, no, there was, and let me get back to this one, and I will explain that to you. We had, there's a little shrub bed in this area right here. It has some Japanese maples and a bird bath, and we had created this shrub bed that had the carved mama bear and her cub. Being where it was getting irrigated on, and it was in a shady spot, and the carpenter ants got to it. Our crew cut it off at the base, and we're going to refurbish it. So we're going to impregnate it with some epoxy and maybe some Bondo work, and we're going to find a new location for it. Kind of over here, as you cross into the plaza, there's a rock there that's a city park kind of historical information rock. Right behind it, there's a shrub bed that has nothing but drip system in it. So once in this hardscape area, it'll stay good for years to come because it won't be getting the irrigation on it. So we have it, and we're going to reinstall it after we fix it up.
I think it was the bear carving. I was asked about that and whether that was donated in somebody's name at some point, and I do
Yeah,
know about
Mr.
that.
Beebe did that in 2000, I think, thereabouts, and he did also the raccoons that were near
Okay.
the gazebo that also rotted away, and we plunge cut those, and they've been attached. The raccoons themselves are on either end of the eaves of the gazebo in City Park now.
Oh, great. Well, it's good that that can be saved, and this is a fabulous project, especially for that particular spot. That seems like it'll be a nice place to have a little quiet time and reflect.
Yeah.
So that's really neat. Congratulations on that.
Okay, need a motion.
I'll make a motion to allow the construction of a workers' memorial at City Park at a specified area located in the northwest corner of the park.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Passes. Thanks, Bill. Item number 3, personnel rule amendment. Melissa,
Okay, so I have an amendment that's specific to our drug and alcohol policy. A couple things. The policy was rewritten last summer, kind of had a complete rewrite. And since then, there's just been a little tweaking that needs to be added and a couple housekeeping changes. So under Section 4, the section currently is titled Notification of Convictions. And just needing to amend that to take out the convictions. Really, the purpose behind this section is just to make sure employees are notifying the city, their supervisors or HR when they're arrested or cited. Convictions can be months and months later after that initial arrest. So we're just looking to be notified when the arrest or citation initially happens. So that's the amendment there. The main purpose of this amendment is around the post-accident testing. So when this amendment was brought to council last summer, the post-accident testing, it reads that all employees operating a city vehicle or a commercial vehicle, and we missed adding in there a personal vehicle, so we have lots of employees that choose not to drive a city vehicle. Many of us are driving our own city vehicles, so when we're within the scope of doing city business, and if you're in an accident while you're in that scope, there are some testing parameters that would apply to that employee as well. So adding that in there. And then we're also adding a post-accident decision tree, and really the purpose behind that is just to give supervisors a little bit more clarity and consistency when accidents do happen. There are departments, for example, the police department, that might have their own standard operating procedure within the police department that are more strict than this, which they can continue to operate under that, but this would be what our minimum is at the city for testing. So it would give some very clear guidance to all of our supervisors. And then the other piece to that is just to make sure that employees and supervisors recognize that the police department is there for additional help if they have any reasonable suspicion based around some sort of post-accident. So if an employee comes back and they might sense that there might be a reasonable suspicion around why that accident might have happened, to feel free to call our police department, that's what they do, that's their job, and they can help facilitate that process. And the last paragraph in there is kind of just some standard Garrity warning that just addresses that for employees that offer information that they would not be disciplined based on what they say. So the information was sent to all the employee groups with no issues or concerns there. It was posted. I didn't really have any questions based on any of the amendments.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, need a motion.
I move to approve the amendments to Rule 21, Drug Alcohol Policy.
Second?
Thank you.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 4. Memorandum of Understanding with State of Idaho Fire Service
Afternoon.
Technology. Tom Grive. Tom?
Yes, we have two items before you today. The first one being an MOU with Fire Service Technology. The reason for this MOU is we have entered into a partnership with Eastern Idaho Technical College to house their extrication trailer. And what that is it's a trailer with extrication equipment that will be utilized by fire departments in the 5 northern counties up here, and we felt that we provided a central location for that. This has gone through legal, and it's before you today so that we can enter into a formal agreement with them to do that.
Any questions?
So this will be at the training facility where will this be? Up by Ramsey?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and there's no financial impact to this for us.
Okay, need a motion.
I move to approve an MOU with FST to house a state-funded extrication training trailer with the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department.
Second, you can never have too much extrication equipment laying around.
Okay, any discussion, more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next item, memorandum of understanding with Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. Tom?
Yes, so as you're aware, last June, we entered into a partnership with Kootenai Fire, us having the fireboat, and they also had a fireboat at the same time. Operationally, we felt that it was better for the community to have us respond to the north end of the lake and have them focus their attention on the river, which is where most of their fire district includes, is all the way down to the Post Falls Dam. We've been working on an MOU, specific language, for several months now, and we've come to an agreement that you have before you there. Some of the concerns that arose over this time period was we tried to have a joint training process where we were going to basically share our fireboat with them. We entered into a joint training program over probably 3 or 4 months last summer. It was not successful. Our fireboat is pretty much state-of-the-art equipment that unless you're using it on a daily basis, you're not going to be proficient at it. So Kootenai Fire came to us and said that they wanted to discontinue this joint training program and just have us assume the boat responses on the north end of the lake. We agreed to do this and let them focus on the river. Another concern was what's going to happen if we respond to the boat and now we're not in our station. So Kootenai Fire has agreed that with their station on Ramsey, they're going to basically cover calls for us for that station that's occupying the boat if there's a call out. And then the financial impact, the last part of this is we do have approximately 6 to 8 non-emergent standbys every year. And what those usually are firework displays. Some are private over at the Hagedon Event Center by the golf course. And Kootenai Fire in the past has, depending on the weather and in the dry conditions in the summer, we'll put a fireboat out there for those. We would assume those standbys at this point. And so the financial impact would be they're willing to reimburse us our cost for those. And so when you see in the analysis here, it's a $335 flat fee. What we did is we took the cost that it would cost us to staff this fireboat with a fire captain, an engineer, and a firefighter for a 3-hour standby. And we just went with the $335. So some of the other events that we will encounter throughout the summer, as you already know, are the Ironmans, the Coeur d'Alene Triathlons, the Riverstone Triathlon. We're currently already staffing those, so there's no financial increase on those events. And then the two that we inherited that we traditionally didn't do in the past were 4th of July and the Christmas lighting ceremony. So now we will inherit those two events moving forward.
Okay. Any questions?
I just had a quick question on the reimbursed rate at $335. And if there's an incident and the team is out there longer taking care of the incident, would you then do some additional billing to cover those costs? I'm still not clear on that.
No, so this would just be for the non-emergency standby. So if you wanted to have a private event over at the Hagedon, you have to go into Kootenai Fire. They're still gonna do the permit process, and they'll collect, I believe they're collecting around $350 per event. And so they kept a little bit of the money for an administrative fee, but if we go out on a call, which comes through the 911 center, there's no billing that takes place for that. This is just for private fireworks shows, or if the Missionok needs us out there for a private party.
To have
of
you
some sort.
present?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Any questions? Okay, need a motion.
I would make a motion to approve an agreement with KCFR for response and standby activities associated with the city's fireboat.
Second.
Any
Can I
more?
say very cool fireboat? Because it's really a very cool fireboat. So.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks, Tom. Thank you. Okay, anything else? Mr. Administrator, nothing? City Attorney and Finance Director, nothing? Okay, good. We're adjourned.